Good evening and welcome to the January 23rd budget meeting of the council. If you'll please rise and join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Pete Albert is excused for this evening, and he has something that at some point I'm going to be reading to the record for him. But I think what we're going to do, Eileen has changes, or suggested changes that I think most of which we've already spoken about. She just handed us that sheet, and I think we should probably start with that, and then go department by department after that. And, okay, so...
Okay, some of these are just no-brainers, so I'm only going to mention those, and there's a couple of additions and one subtraction that it's up to you if you want to do it or not. So at the beginning, you see in general government, you see 9209 is $9,209 reduction for ambulance delinquent collections. As we saw, that increased a great deal, and Paul looked at it again and found out that that was not necessary. I put NHMA here, but that's up to you to make that motion. Fund balance, additional use of fund balance. What this is this the one that they have?
Yeah.
Okay, so this $116,588 approximately represents in a refund that we're getting from the workers' comp, Primex workers' comp. We're getting that this year, and so what will happen is it will become part of fund balance, so we can use more of it to reduce the tax rate. So instead of $450,000, you'll be doing whatever. Thank you. So then under fire, there's the first two things are just adjustments that needed to be made. Under that are physicals. We don't need to do the in-depth physicals. Under police, it says police retirement, but it's not actually retirement. What it is people have retired since the budget was prepared and newer people came on. So that results in a savings because the other people were making more money. And that's a fact. Spots Terminal, that was brought up, $4,500. And these are, again, two things that you may or may not do. Reducing out the asphalt pile recycling for $35,000 and adding $50,000 for roads. So if you look, if you used all those things, you would see a decrease in the appropriations of $74,803, an increase in revenue, which is also a positive, obviously, $116,588 for a total to the good of $191,391. Which then brings your tax rate down to 505, which is 5 cents less than it was this year. This year that we're in is $5.10. And just for reference, I put in what we have for union contracts, which is 4, which come to another 4 cents, making the tax rate still 509. So those are my thoughts. That's all.
Eileen, on the asphalt recycling, are there any do we have a pile of that already done, or do we have projects that will need it, and do we have some already done? All right, Kyle just answered no, so, okay. Thank you, Kyle.
That'll be noted.
Yeah, he shook his head. Does anybody have any thoughts, comments, questions of Eileen? Well, if you want to take this as a whole piece and move the whole thing as it is, or I don't know if we want to talk about NHMA.
I'd be happy to talk about or move NHMA separately if you'd like, just to keep it cleaner.
Sure.
So I move we add $17,000 to the general budget for the New Hampshire Municipal Association budget dues, realizing that's a reduction from their estimated annual of $25,000 of what, $8,000 for an initial introductory year for us. And so it gives us a year to reevaluate where we are with the organization, how they can help the different departments and different committees and whatnot in town, and get ourselves back in that swing. It would give us this year to then evaluate whether or not we think it's feasible or reasonable to go forward with the program in the ongoing years. And I'd be happy to talk further about what the NMHA membership offers. If people have questions or concerns, I'd like to hear those and be able to address those.
Can you just explain what it is for the people?
The New Hampshire Municipal Association is an association of about 221 towns and cities in, I think it's that many, maybe not, in the state of New Hampshire that work together to promote municipal concerns, to also do training and collectively be able to get everybody up to speed on what's necessary for elections, what's necessary for land use, what's necessary for legal issues, all of those different aspects. So they're a what's the word I want to use, an advocate for the cities and towns of New Hampshire. They have a legislative advocacy group that actually watches what's going on in the legislature and pulls out programs that specifically affect municipalities, keying off of things that are going to cost us because of downshifting, so that all the municipalities can be aware of what's going on. There are lots of ways for people to understand what's going on in the legislature, but this is a way that kind of consolidates it all together for the benefit of the municipalities. So while Eileen and Paul and all the department heads can be monitoring and watching what's going on, and our state legislatures can come back and tell us what's going on, it's convenient to get the legislative bulletin that goes through and says, these are things that affect towns. It just makes it a lot easier to kind of coordinate all that effort and see what's going on. We don't necessarily agree with their position on everything, but certainly in most things, including the MS4 review that they were doing, I think we would have benefited from having their additional expertise going forward. There's also a lot of training classes that they provide for budget committees, which we don't have here, but the school district does. For the municipal law lecture series, land use and environment tracking. A lot of their conference has 50 different tracks in it to talk about different things going on around the communities, interfacing with the people. I went to the OSP conference last year and heard about solar and how that's impacting land use situations. And I know the Municipal Association looks into those kinds of things as well. So they're really looking broadly out for the benefit of the municipalities. It's a little bit easy, in my opinion, to think of them as a legal services for the smaller towns, or even helping the community development areas where they don't really have community development programs for the smaller towns. But there's a lot more to what they have to offer than just those programs. While those would be nice, we already have that covered in our structure. And so, like the other big towns, Manchester, Nashville, Concord, Rochester, things like that, we don't get as much benefit out of that. However, the Conservation Commission, if they have legal questions, rather than going through Eileen and paying our lawyer to answer them, can call up the municipal legal services and get a review or a comment or a thought. When I was on the budget committee, I was able to use that as well because I was in a tiff with the town council at the time, but not the town council, the Board of Selectmen, when I was chairman. We had a difference of opinion about how things should go, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to use the town's attorney against the town. It just wouldn't have worked. So I was able to at least get some legal advice on how we proceed. Those kinds of things, we have a lot of confidence in Paul and Eileen and the management department leadership that we have here today, but that leadership's not always going to be here. No, no negatives intended. There are turnovers and changes, and just like there's turnovers and changes in this board and the zoning board and the planning board, we need those people to be able to be trained to understand what those impacts of those jobs are. And so I think this is money well spent to have all of that information available to us. And you've been given a listing of what the different departments thought they would be able to use based on what NHMA said they have to offer. There's also a big listing from NHMA showing all the different things that they have to offer as far as webinars and classes and things over the past 3 or 4 years, which are all available to members on their website as backtracked information. So there's a fair amount of good information available there and useful to us. We've been out of there for 5 years now, or something like that. We've have been going on our own, if you will, as far as the advocacy that they offer for various things. And I think it's a good idea for us to get back involved.
Right, we have a motion from Tom, but we don't have a second yet.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'd like to address it as well.
Please.
I concur with Tom. I think we should give it a go, especially since we're getting a cut rate for each year. But I also remember the discussion we had, was it 5 years ago? Was it that long ago?
2013.
Wow. Time flies.
6 years ago.
Anyway, and the feedback we're getting now was not present then, because I remember asking, the planning board always liked it, but the other departments were not forthcoming in their need. So I guess my only thing is that, yes, I'm willing to back this up, second it, encourage acceptance, but at the same time request that for the year that we're doing this part-time tentative membership, that each department just keep a log of what they use it for. Even if it's just, I don't need specifics, just attended a workshop, called about legal question, called about a question of legislation. Again, not in any great detail, but it will help us evaluate next budget the efficacy of this, and whether it be worth, in fact, $25,000
Yep.
if it goes up to that. So that's my only request on top of that.
Great. All right, any further, Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I oppose this. And I go back to the arguments that we made back in 2013, harkening back to the shenanigans that existed between the NHMA and the LGC. And over the past 6 years, this community has grown, and we've grown without them guiding us. We have the best manager in the state. We have some of the best department heads and staff out here in the state. They're intelligent, competent, and know exactly what they're doing. And all of them working collectively as a team has been able to guide this council for the last 6 years. We've held the property taxes between just below 5 to 550. We've grown our property values from 2.9 billion to 3.3 billion. Okay? Kyle Fox comes here with opportunities for us to get grant money to be able to do projects. And all this despite the NHMA.
In spite of.
In spite,
spite.
excuse me, in spite,
Okay.
thank you, Nancy, I apologize, in spite of the
I didn't know
NHMA.
if I had misunderstood.
And that's fair. You know, if we're really concerned about training, if we're concerned about access to updates on legal issues, why aren't we leveraging Drummond and Woodson more? And Matt Upton, who's probably one of the best municipal law attorneys in New Hampshire. Why aren't we leveraging the NRPC as it relates to land use issues? I tell you right now, Jay McCarr would love to do training with the Merrimack ZPA and the Merrimack Planning Board, have them come down to individualize, personalize, and having the NRPC work on those particular issues. They are more in tune to what's going on, not just in Merrimack, but in the region, and be able to help our ZBA and Planning Board not only think locally, but think about how their decisions impact regionally. I know the NRPC would be willing to do something like that. We should be leveraging that resource right there. As it comes to right to know, I go back to Matt Upton. I can go to the Secretary of State's office, the Attorney General's office. There's so many resources that are available to us that we're in my opinion, this is my opinion, we could be better leveraging those resources than having to go hat in hand back to the NHMA, that quite honestly, we saw no value, outside of a 25-year relationship, there was really minimal value that they provided to our community. We're the 7th largest community in this state. We've grown because we've got great people in place. And part of the reason why we have great people in place is all of us here. We've empowered our staff, our directors, and our town manager to do what they feel is best and to come to us with what they want to do to make our community the best that it is. And I think to cough up $17,000 to an organization that I feel doesn't have the town, that doesn't have my community's best interest is a waste of money. I'd rather spend it on the welfare department. I'd rather give it to Harbor Homes. I'd rather give it to home and hospice care. I'd rather give it to Helping Hands where there's an immediate impact for people that live in our community. Now, that's why I was opposed to it back in 2013, even more why I'm opposed to it now. We need to leverage the resources that are available to us and continue to empower the team that we have in place because they're doing a dynamite job in this community. And to suggest otherwise would be derelict. Thank you.
Bill.
Just a quick response. I don't think, again, I might be misinterpreting you, so if I am, I apologize. But the suggestion that being in favor of this one-year experiment anyways diminishes our intention with the directors or the town manager. I don't see the correlation there. And to imply it, I think, is inaccurate. Okay?
I just
wanted to address
based
that.
on the list that was provided to us of the resources that they see, okay, those resources are already out there. And you're very fair, and let me be upfront. I'm not saying, I agree with you, Nancy, if it came across that way, I apologize. I just feel we've done a great job empowering the team. I think we've given them the resources to do the job that they do. I think there's opportunities out there to access additional resources without having to allocate $17,000 for this particular organization that we cut ties with back in 2013, and rightfully so back then. I'm not in favor of a one-year experiment. I'm not.
Right, but for me, though, you spoke of our team, and I agree. They do an awesome job for us, and have without the NHMA as well. But the person who would probably use it most in community development speaks extremely highly in favor of the need for it. And that's why I'm willing to go for the year, for the reduced rate, to try it out. And if I think your suggestion of having some way of getting feedback so we
Measuring that,
get a,
yes.
that we could tell, I think would be
I
beneficial.
mean, let's go to the MS4 piece. I mean, you talked about the NHMA having this particular thing regarding the MS4. Well, my question to you is, did they get the permit that we wanted? At the end of the day, they didn't acquire the desired result. We allocated $5,000 to Kyle and his team to participate in that special consortium so that they can address that permit. Now, I sat in on one of their meetings, and I was very comfortable with the people that were involved, the legal team that was involved, and I really felt that Kyle and Don were actively engaged in that particular process, so that even though NHMA was doing their own thing on the MS4, I really felt that we were getting really well-spent $5,000 on that project as it relates to the MS4 permit. And like I said, if the NHMA had gotten us a very favorable MS4 permit that had the desired results that we sought, then maybe I would have a difference of opinion. But to say that we missed out on information that they presided, at the end of the day, the state of New Hampshire lost that issue, and it wasn't because of the NHMA or because of this particular consortium. We lost the argument. So I don't think that the fact that we weren't a part of their team really holds water. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, and then I submit, Bill, I don't know if you got that email earlier from the Public Works Director speaking in favor of us rejoining it again.
I'm against what they're saying.
Okay,
This is
well-
my opinion, Mr. Chairman.
No, and I appreciate it. I just didn't know if you had received that.
No, I read it. And on the record, I value what Tim Thompson brings to the table. I value his opinion. Director Kyle Fox, I value him and I value his, but I have a difference of opinion
Nope,
right now.
and very good.
Because they made a decision back then that absolutely benefited the community.
Thanks, Bill.
Finley.
Barbara, and then you? Okay, thank you, sir.
I went to their website this afternoon just to become a little more familiar with what they do because it's, new to me. What I couldn't decide is, do they act as a lobbyist for the towns?
Yes, they do.
So, okay, that was, they don't really highlight that as one of the benefits of membership because I can see some things that are coming up for this session with the legislature that would be helpful if the towns and communities got together and asked the NMHA to go ahead and lobby for, particular items like the PFAS issues. So, okay, thank you.
In response to that, their legislative updates and their legislative bulletins are public information. You can access it on the website. So if anyone, and I access it frequently. Matter of fact, I was on it last week. They publicly supported House Bill 104, the Housing Appeals Board, because they found no reason to oppose it.
They didn't support it.
No, they did.
No, they did not.
That's not what they wrote in their January bulletin.
Well, everything I heard said that they had taken a no position on that one.
Well,
Tom?
So I'm looking at it, and we're gonna use it for two reasons. Lobbying for us, for the town, and the training. I read the department heads, and I agree, that, there's trainings that all of them want except for a couple. But no, I agree with what Tom was saying too, is that, if you're on a different board and you have a problem with the council, the town manager, or whoever, then you don't want to use the lawyers or the services that we have. So you can use these people, so you don't feel like you're wasting their services. So for the 1 year for exploring this, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
nay.
Abstained. 5-1-0 with Bill Boyd and the voting in the negative.
I have a quick question to Tom. He may know. Although we don't have the school connection, are the school personnel or administration able to go to some of the workshops under our membership? Do you happen to know that? Because I know that you mentioned that they have
I
school.
mentioned that they have
At the
a
budget committee.
that The town and budget information that they have a budget committee and the town and budget information would be useful to them. I believe they can,
Okay.
but
Because
I guess I don't know that for absolute
maybe if
sure.
we can just notify them.
Does the school district have access to it if we join the
Under our
NMHMA as a
membership.
town?
Oh,
They're
they
already
do?
members.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Then it's-
associate or
So
members.
we
or
might have been
something.
able to go under theirs.
No,
No,
No.
it was worth a shot.
they have a limited membership. I believe I did see them on MBD is a member as well.
Yeah, they have caller ID, I believe.
They probably do anymore. Is there anything else on the list that Eileen has provided us that anybody would like to address?
Can we talk paving?
Sure.
Paving?
Paving, yes.
What would we need to do to add $200,000 to paving to make it a flat $1 million?
$200,000 is, wait a minute, get my calculator out. I should have that out all the time.
We could use the fund balance.
Yeah, my phone is.
6 cents on the tax rate.
6 cents on the tax rate.
An additional 150 would be 6 cents, or,
6 cents for $34,000.
I mean, you have 50 in this list, and so he's,
Additional 200.
that was an
6
additional
cents for additional 200. If you want to
Okay.
do 150,
it's 4.5 cents or something.
it's 4 cents.
So I would suggest that we bifurcate that question, Bill, and we try to present what she's got here on this list, and if you want to add additional, that would be a separate discussion.
You're
maybe?
stealing my word, Counselor Koenig.
I'm borrowing your word now that I've been trained by you. That's the compliment to you that
I
people
appreciate,
are.
no, I appreciate it, thank you.
So you okay with that, Bill?
So what are we
Yes,
doing?
absolutely.
What are we doing?
What I'd like,
We're
what Tom's
bifurcating
suggestion, and I agree, is to
Let's
put
move.
the
move this.
paving question off, and let's wrap this up. If there's anything further to discuss on these suggestions from Eileen and Paul, that we deal with that now, and if there's no further changes looking for this, if we might move the package as it stands now.
Mr. Chairman, I would move this package as presented by Eileen with the confidence that the 17,000 for NHMA has already been added in by the council. So the
Second.
full 191,391 additional appropriation/revenues as detailed.
Second?
Motion by Tom Koenig, second by Nancy. Would you like to further discuss, or?
No, I think it's very clear.
Yep, absolutely.
It's an excellent budget, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 600. All right. Shall we start with departments now, or go to specific questions like bills, or?
Just do departments.
I think that's what I'd rather do, so we can get things moving. What I will do first is, Pete had sent this email and asked that I read it into the record, so I will do so. Dear fellow councilors, I will be unable to attend tonight's meeting due to the fact my dad has gone into hospice care, and we're trying to spend some time with him. I recognize the importance of finalizing the town budget for 2019-20, and since I will not be in attendance, I respectfully request Chairman read into the record my position on the following budgetary items. Collective bargaining agreements, I'm in favor of and support all of the 4 currently agreed upon collective bargaining agreements between the town and our unions, as well as raise for our non-union employees, which will be coming up not tonight but later. Understanding that it will increase the tax rate 6 to 8 cents per thousand. I believe that our town services provided by these folks are among the best in the state. The welfare department, social and health services, that's number 01-25-8399-0. He supports the proposed budget amount of $75,833, which is the social service programs, and I believe that each one of the listed organizations assist our citizens in our various departments, and without these organizations' help, it would be difficult for those in need who would get the services that they require. I support the transfer of funds from the general fund to assist with tax relief for the next fiscal year, and with that, I think it means the unreserved fund balance. I'm not in favor of hiring any new police or fire positions for the upcoming fiscal year. I am in favor of the $90,000 for pond dredging / beach erosion control, and that's number 01-13-8505-0 at Wasserman Park. These are just some topics we discussed during the last couple of weeks that I felt would be discussed at tonight's meeting. I understand that this email does not count as a vote, but I would like the townspeople, the council, and the town manager to know where I stand on these budgetary items. Sincerely, Pete. So thank you for your indulgence. And so now, if we could, I think we'll just start with general government and start marching on through. So if anybody on general government has any questions or comments or cuts or additions, speak now.
Question. The last time I had asked, and I don't know if this is going to be under general government or everything in general, but wage increases for non-union. We're going to be addressing that at a later date, or
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
on the 24th.
24th?
No, sorry, the
14th.
14th of February.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Barbara?
Yeah, Paul and Eileen, regarding the insurance, workers' comp, dental insurance, are those all based on estimates, or have we really gotten the premium rates for the upcoming year? I'm not sure if they're working on our calendar or their own calendar, which is usually January.
They're working on our fiscal year, so, which is June 30th. We have received a guaranteed maximum amount,
Okay.
and of 10.1% for health insurance, and it's generally not a lot different than that. Used to be wildly different, but, so we haven't gotten our final numbers,
Yeah, the
might
reason
end
I
up
ask
being
is
less.
because sometimes you can see, the slight increase, and other times in other departments, the increase is much more. So I didn't know if they were being based on real numbers or estimates for the upcoming year.
They're based on estimates. They're based on estimates, but the reason why they're different in different departments is because it's done by census. So even though a two-person rate is a two-person rate, it's all the same. Everyone has the same health insurance, except one group.
Yeah, I
Who has a
figured that
lower
was the case.
And then, so they're divvied up between single family, this and that, so the number comes out.
Okay.
But they are based on the actual people in the department and the rates at 10.1%.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Anything further? We're all set on general government. Yes.
Might I suggest that, well, it's up to you, it might be overkill, but that you make motions on the bottom line of each department, and so we can subtract out the items that you did on your list, and then make that number. Do you get it?
Talk to Paul for a minute if you could, because I don't know if he's,
Bottom line, they vote on the bottom line of the budget. They don't vote on the department, they just vote on the bottom line. $32 million, moving that forward to the warrant. They don't vote on each department itself.
Normally.
Normally, they just do the bottom line.
All right, whatever you're comfortable with.
either way,
probably-
it doesn't matter to me. If you had a reason, I'm fine.
It
with
wouldn't be a bad idea, before we move on, to verify the bottom line for each department.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yeah, it's appropriate.
So we can verify that for the general government right now, we have what, Paul?
I don't know.
1,873,978,
No,
is that
because we've
correct?
added 17,000.
Ah, see, that's it.
We subtracted 9,209.
We need to know that bottom line.
There we go. That's why I'm not over there.
All right. So we're all set. We'll move on to assessing?
No, we
Nope.
gotta get the bottom
Oh, you're
number
going to get that for each one, okay.
before we move on.
1881769, which represents the bottom line of 1873978, minus 9209 for collection agency, and add $17,000 for NHMA.
Okay,
It's pretty close there.
next assessing. Anybody have anything for assessing? No? All right, did you want to pull up a bottom line number?
332, 35.
Yeah, nothing else is changing here.
We have that.
Well, there's nothing on this sheet, then.
There's nothing in assessing
Well, there
change.
is, there's the,
No, there's nothing.
Push it
Nothing
down.
in this.
oh, that's right, there is nothing. So that would be the same then.
332,
Okay,
332, 359.
Yep.
next, 03 is fire. Barbara?
So I believe Chief wanted 3 more lieutenants. Was that included in this budget?
No, it's a line there, but it's just
Yeah, I
for
wasn't
our
sure,
information.
that's
Yeah.
why I was asking.
That's the wish list line.
Yes.
Mm.
Because it appeared the same way on the on the police side. All right, anything on fire?
Some adjustments, right?
So
No, good thing.
on your sheet, Eileen, you had for 8321 snow plowing a reduction of 5,000. I thought they told us it was a reduction of 7,000 when we were going through the review. Did I miss something there?
He had 9,000 in there. He had $9,000 in there. So what is the cut?
7.
So it would be 7.
Paul?
Paul?
We got an updated estimate from the contractor, and that money that's in there, the $5,000, is what the cut needs to be. It's gonna cost an extra $4,000 to plow the lot, because he needs to hire staff to do it. He doesn't have
Okay.
enough staff.
So it's 4,000 in that budget line for plowing of the stations. Thank you.
All right, Barbara?
Also, there was some money taken out for physical exams. Is that in total, or was that just partial?
That's partial.
Okay,
So
So in the original 750, that was there, what's left in that?
physical
Well,
exams
84.59.
are 32, the total was 32,250, so about half. So about 16,000 left.
Yeah, 65.
Just under 16, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, no, it's actually 16.5, which is what you told us before.
Yeah, that's what I had down to.
Okay, anything?
6586247.
Say again?
6.5.
6586247.
Okay, moving on to 04, police.
Hold on a second. Can we go back to fire, please?
Sure.
Starting from the beginning. The original town manager total was $6,640,000.
Excuse me, Mike's not.
The original total was $6,641,517, correct?
I have 6,625,000, is that what you said?
I'm looking at, in my budget book, should I be looking at something different?
Six,
I have
641,
I don't have that.
6641517.
We have here for the bottom of fire.
Did you hear me?
Yep, thank you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, mine's different, I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Did you
right now.
edit it at all?
No, I haven't changed anything on that.
Okay.
I'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll have
Yeah.
them updated when it's done.
So, what was your number again?
6641517.
Right, and what was the bottom line number, the new number?
6586247.
Okay, my math, I apologize, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Bill. All right, back to 04, police. Nothing? Barbara?
You know, I noticed that there wasn't anything in the budget for telephones. That telephones appear to be in communication. So when they're in the office, there's no phones? Or is it just all lumped over into communication?
Smoke
Thank
signal
you.
and semaphore.
Thank you. They're talking aloud.
It's a white smoke, black smoke?
We also have a kennel of carrier pigeons that we use.
Yeah, thought I'd just check on that before we get too far with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, just one question, Paul. In line 8332 for maintenance of vehicles, in our printed sheet, it says 35,300, but it was supposed to be 38,300. Did the bottom line adjust for that 3,000, or did we, I mean, you corrected that the other day. Before we look at this bottom line printed here, I just wondered if it's the same number.
We'd have to add $3,000.
Okay,
We'd
so
have
it
to
should
add
be
3,000.
6438 instead of 6435 at the bottom line.
OEM police.
Okay. So then when you subtract the 37,824,
Yeah, but then you had spots. On our sheet was 45, but in the budget is 65.
so they're
So
leaving
that-
some in?
I don't know, are they leaving something for spots? You are. Oh,
I think there is a
so $2,000 in for spots. Okay. Just checking.
Okay, so the bottom line number, if there are no further adjustments, that represents the various changes in wages for the new versus the retired employees, and then adding back $3,000 that Tom mentioned, comes to $6,400,000 278, 6400-278.
Okay. 05, communication?
Is that right? Did you take out the 4,500 for spots? Or that's communications? Never mind, sorry. My bad.
Paul has a different number, if you could just bear with us for a second.
Yeah, I jumped up.
That is correct.
Yeah, on line, page 49, 8506, there's $1,000 in there, but if you look at the summary sheet, it was 0. Which is the correct number? Yeah, I remember, because I wrote down 50, yeah, the '08 one as well. But I think it had dropped or something.
No, I think Nancy's right.
It was superimposed.
Superimposed.
Yeah, okay. So either way, it's somewhere in the budget that where it should be. Yeah.
Yes, it's, instead of, it looks like instead of equipment, communications equipment, it's under operating equipment.
Mhm.
Do you want me to, did I give you the number? Yeah. 927-585. $927-585. No.
So it's 383-260, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For the record.
Actually, is it Public Works Admin 07? Yes, it is. Okay. Anything there? Okay, the number
401-317.
401-317?
Yep.
Um, 08 Highway?
So you stated 401.
Yeah, 317, unless somebody says otherwise, that's what I'm going with.
To be on the record.
Just to be on the record, so.
Yep.
For the record, 401-317, right?
Yes. All right, now, highway, Bill, if this is,
Yeah, 0108-8505.
um,
Move to add $200,000 to that particular line for bottom line number of $1 million for paving in line 8505.
is there a second?
No. So you add in 150 to make it 200, or you, because it's already
We've added
50?
50
The
already.
town manager says 800,000.
Yeah.
Right, but we
added 50
added
on
for
this
that
You
sheet.
added
road.
50, I apologize. I'm looking at my budget book, I'm not looking at this sheet.
Nope. Fair enough.
Yeah, so it'd be 150, sorry.
Motion by Councilor Boyd to add $150,000 to 8505. Is there a second?
Second for purpose of discussion.
Yeah.
Billy, would you like to speak to your motion?
Well, I hearken back to the comments that Director Fox gave to us at the previous budget meeting that while we're doing an okay job keeping up with our roads, we could be doing a better job. And I think in order to do a better job at it, we need to increase the level of cash that we're funding that particular fund. Which is why I feel an additional $150,000, bringing it up to $1 million, I think shows a sincere effort to the community and also respects the concerns that Director Fox had communicated to us that we're attacking our paving issues in town correctly so that people have a relatively smooth road to drive on in all seasons.
So, nothing against the paving, it's great and everything. But, I mean, sometimes, I get a lot of comments out there saying, why are you paving this road? It's not really needed, it's not that bad. But you have Bedford Road and you have Amherst, and some portions of Amherst are really bad. I just think the decision needs to be that you gotta pave the right roads. And our main roads are the right roads, especially with all these apartments, everything coming in. I think 200 is way too much right up front, right away. I'll support the extra 50, but I just think you just don't be paving side roads when they're not that bad when you have, the main traffic on the main roads. I think you take care of your main roads first.
Barbara?
Yeah, I agree with you, Counselor, because my other question is, where does the money come from without raising the tax rate?
You'd have to cut something else.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
What would be the impact of
6 cents.
4.5
6
cents for the additional
150
150.
is 4.5, yeah.
4 cents for the additional 150.
For me, it's a bitter pill, but we've never taken it, well, more recently, we've taken it much more seriously, but we went for a number of years without being serious about this at all, and it cost us, and that's why Kyle said, he didn't say we're doing okay, he said we're falling behind. I think were his exact words. And, so as tough as it is, I think it's important, and I am supporting the motion for the 150. And just because I think it's, infrastructure is one of those things that we can put it off and not take the hit. But in about 8 to 10 years, somebody's really going to be taking a lot of grief for the money that has to be spent to maintain those roads. There's communities very close to us that abut us that pull bonds, for 15 and 20 years for millions of dollars to do their road work. And I don't embrace that philosophy. So I am supporting Bill and encourage anybody who's an outlier right now to think about it.
What do you think, John?
So I'm going to support Bill on this because, as I asked it the last time, where are we at and where we need to go? We do need to increase the amounts. I'm a little concerned about people, the thought that's coming out that says that we need to focus on these roads versus those roads. The people in our highway division and our public works administration are looking at the best and most efficient way to maintain roads. And to let a road go south, even if it is a quote-unquote minor road or a subdivision road, and have to repair it in the future is going to be a lot more expensive than maintaining it with a 1 or 2 inch overcoat in a timely manner. And so I understand from discussions with Kyle that they're actually very carefully looking at the roads, this condition of the roads, how can they make the maintenance of them as efficient as possible and move forward. And they have plans that outline the best way to approach this. And it may not look correct to us on an instantaneous basis, but I think if you look at it over a 5 or 10 year period, if you look at what they've been doing for the last 5 or 10 years when we've given them a little bit more money, they are managing to get to the roads. I know Peasley came up a lot with Pete Albert. Peasley had some other issues and situations going on that if Pearson, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
Pearson Road, had other issues going on dealing with sewer and some other stuff that if we had paved those roads, we've been tearing them up again to install those things. And so while I know the public's out there looking at a particular road, and I am too, we have to trust our department heads that we've just said we appreciate so much in the jobs that they're doing, to let them do that job. And the only way they can do it is with increased paving, because asphalt's gotten a lot more expensive in the last 5 years. And we're not getting nearly as many miles out of $1 million as we used to. So I support it as well.
Anything further? Nancy? I know you're
Everybody's
dying to
looking
say
at me.
something.
I seem to be a pivotal voice here. Well, I do remember the whole discussion about let's take advantage of when the oil prices were low. We jumped on it and did more those years for that, to get more buck from, money. I think the main reason I'm sitting here quiet is that I want to be able to think about other things that we are going to be taking money from media, right? That's already been.
It's already done.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of others. Other than, where could I steal? And I can't think of anything. Can you?
I can give you 50,000 out of media. There's a nickel.
Out of what?
We took
Media.
250 last year.
Ooh, okay. That helps me
Nicholas.
make the decision. I know. Look at Nick back there. That helps me. That helps me. Because I think there has to be an effort to be able to demonstrate that we really are trying to keep things as much. And so based upon that, would you have to go for the whole 200,000? Or how would that be done? How would that be reflected in the budget?
So what you would see is an increase in non-tax revenue, $50,000, non-property tax income, just like it just adds to revenue. And then you would add a certain amount of money, whatever it is, 50,000, 200,000, 100,000, whatever it is, to the highway department budget.
So-
And whatever that amount of money, in your mind, you could subtract out $50,000 from it.
So the proposal is 150, we could say 100.
No. You still want
Get
to
a budget
put the
Yeah, you still
amount
have to have
in
the
the
numbers
budget.
So you'd say another 50. So it'd be a total of 100.
No,
So Nancy.
For no
so-
tax increase,
So
absolutely.
Nancy,
I'm listening.
I just added 50,
Yep.
which you've done.
Correct.
Okay? So I just gave you another 50
So that's
from
up to-
media, so that's 100, a total of 100 extra.
Correct.
And then you can make whatever decisions you want beyond that.
But the budget line item, 8505 is going to go up a total of plus 200.
If
Per-
that's what she's
Per the
proposing.
motion that's on the
Okay,
table.
yes.
Okay, but the resources, the revenue
The
would
revenue
decrease the
can
amount that
change
has
as
to be
well.
raised by taxes,
right.
right? By 100,000, because we've already got 50 that we put in.
No.
Oh, no, the 50 was already counted. I
50 is
got
already
you.
counted for.
You're right, I got you. I got you. So it'd be 100. Okay, yes. I will go along with that, especially with that understanding. I would go along with that motion.
And just to amplify the point for everybody, I know that Director Foxer came here several years ago and kind of explained to us the system that they use and how they grade roads and how they're constantly grading roads on a yearly basis so that they're identifying, targeting roads that really need to be paved. And I've felt that that was a very fair and equitable way of making determination of what roads, how we prioritize road paving in our community. And I don't think we've I haven't heard anything otherwise, but I don't think we've deviated from that. So it's based on that process in my head is why I'm seeking the additional monies for paving, because we have a plan in place, and we should be executing that plan.
So why wouldn't you go little increase at a time? Like, I'd support 100,000, but 200,000, I just think it's too big of a leap. And then do another 100,000 next year, and that gets you to your million. But I think 200,000 is, I mean, we're trying to get a 0% zero tax increase, and now you do $200,000, you're jumping the tax rate, you're jumping over the 510. Or if you do 100,000, you just, there's no implication at all. Because you're gonna take the 50 from the media, and that's gonna give you the 100. I'd support 100, absolutely, but I just can't. I mean, we have a good opportunity this year.
You're still gonna have a tax rate that's lower from what it was in 2014 and 2015.
Well,
I mean,
this
I'm
is-
not trying to compare apples and oranges, I'm just
Well,
saying,
you are, but
Don't
it's-
argue that.
I mean, I can't do 200. I just think it's way too
Okay.
big of a tax.
All right.
100 I'd do.
Any further discussion on the motion?
See, now I'm in the middle, 150 comes out to.
Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Probably didn't catch your vote. You in the affirmative, or are you still thinking?
I'm still thinking.
I didn't hear you then. I was, because I didn't.
It's okay, let it go.
You can't let it go, you have to make a vote.
Okay,
You can abstain.
I'll abstain because
Okay.
I'm torn on that one.
Okay, so it's 4-1-1 with Tom Thornton voting in the negative and Barbara abstaining.
And Barbara, I know exactly what you're saying, and that's why I felt more comfortable negotiating something.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, anything further under highway?
So the bottom line is what?
5551902.
And that's
Even with that
subtracting the
increase?
35 and adding the 200?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, you do.
So moving to solid
Okay.
waste.
Yeah, he just wanted to, I was just looking for, going through my red marks and my, just to make sure I was all set. So, all right, 09, solid waste. Bless you.
I'm all good with it. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Just one more left.
That vote did,
Here's your three.
right, see nothing on solid waste? Nope. Would you have a final number?
One 867-951.
All right, 13, Parks and Rec.
Let's see the rest.
All right, the only thing that I have here that we haven't discussed since talking about this was the 8372, the 4th of July celebration.
Yes.
They were looking for an additional $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, we didn't add that,
No,
so it's not on my list.
Barbara?
Is there any magic?
No magic, just dealing.
No magic?
$10,000 can be a rounding
Can
thing.
we like scrape it?
Rounding,
Yeah.
rounding.
Can be rounded?
$10,000, when you divide it by $3,419,000, it can be rounded.
It's a small amount.
Down.
It's plus or minus
It's
a
less
fraction
than-
of a penny.
Yeah, it's less than a penny.
Yeah, it's
A
net.
third of a penny.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion for line item 0113-8372, 4th of July, to be increased by $10,000 from $40,000 to $50,000.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Barbara.
And I don't think I really need to address it. I think they've really held the line for several years. And I think it's not an unreasonable request considering all that they do.
I would agree with that, except doubling the amount they're getting this year just seemed extreme to me, and I was a little bit more inclined to go with 5K, but along the same argument that Tom Thornton's making, but at a really small number in comparison. So I won't support it, but I don't think that should stop you guys from doing what you think is appropriate.
Anything further on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstained. 5-1-0 with Tom Koenig voting in the negative. I should say with everybody but Tom Koenig voting in the positive. It sounds better. There you go. All right. Is there anything further on Parks and Rec that anybody would like to
Final
hit
number?
on?
Is that the only thing we discussed there? Not real happy with the pond dredging, but I'm not gonna bring that up here.
567,928.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think has got to be done, but it is definitely a pile. All right. Just one thing before we move on. On the cabin, the $8,000 in the cabin, that was for the demolition of it?
Yes.
How big is that building? Okay.
Again, I go back to what I raised in the last meeting. Why can't we have fire come out and use it as a training exercise? Save the money.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different reasons, because they can use it, Bill, but not to the point where they actually, I mean, we have to check all those things. We have to check asbestos, you know, part of it's concrete, part of it's concrete block, part of it's stone. There's all kinds of trees around and all those kinds of things. So once it all gets cleaned up, if necessary, then the fire department can come in and do a controlled burn, but it'll just be an exercise not to save money, not an effort to save money.
Right, probably like they did on
So in other words,
Beacon.
the $8,000 to tear it down, we're gonna spend that doing the mitigation so that Chief Curry and his team can burn it down.
Well, they don't actually, I
It's
don't
going
think they
to
burn it
have to
down.
be mitigated anyway. It's going to need to be remediated anyway.
Thank you, sorry.
Before you tear it down, you can't just take a wrecking ball to something that's got asbestos in it.
And I think the way they use it for training now is they did the house on Beacon. They actually started fires, extinguished them, but didn't burn the house down. It had to be demolished after the fact. So I don't know that they're allowed to burn them to the ground anymore for all kinds of reasons. But yeah, So, all right.
Okay.
Next, library 15. We all
I'm good with library.
all set?
1286594.
Say who?
Repeat that?
Oh,
Bottom line.
Yeah.
well, it's sort of the bottom line.
1286594.
Plus the 23,000 they're gonna spend, and
Yeah,
So it ends
Is that
up
number accurate?
1309594, but
was that number accurate?
No, well, it's
No.
126, it's 1286594, then plus the 23,000 down here, the special
So-
library.
1309594.
Which
So,
is what
yeah,
I have,
1309.
which is what you have.
Yep.
So the 1309 is,
Yep.
is the
Yep.
correct number,
Yes,
594?
because you add the 23. Yep. Yep.
All right. Number 16, equipment maintenance.
I have nothing.
All right. Is that still 459527?
Yes.
All right, 17, building and grounds.
There's nothing in that one.
Nothing. Does the number remain then 326462?
Yep.
Number 21, community development. See nothing. Real good.
Remains 508733.
Tom Koenig, don't you miss the days of the hourly budget meetings?
Nope.
We've gotten much more efficient.
Yes, our town manager has been able to do 90% of our work.
And
Yeah.
Paul,
And Paul, you're absolutely right.
Town
And the
staff.
directors, they're all there.
And yeah, there's a lot
Everybody's
of,
doing a very
in
good
there.
job these days. Yeah.
number 24, tax collector.
Town clerk, tax
Still
collector.
put tax collector.
I don't have any changes. Remains 556136.
Section 25, welfare. Barbara?
Yeah, I have some commentary on this one, but I want to start by saying we are so lucky to have a social worker in this area who is so familiar with the area and, you know, the workings of the different charities around the Nashua, metropolitan Nashua and Manchester area. So I want to say that and recognize you, Pat, for your work that you do here. On the other hand, I do have some commentary about line item 8399, which is the listing of all of the different charities. Now, this was a little bit different because I've never seen a town budget do this, and I know it is regarding RSA 165 that denotes this activity, and it's reflected as well in the town charter. It does not say within the law, though, that you have to give charity donations to different charities. So when you look at these charities, we have, you know, some very major charities reflected here as well as some locals. We have, you know, American Red Cross, and we have Big Brothers and Big Sisters who have big infrastructures for writing grants and getting donations. They are national programs. Like I said, the remaining 14 are local, and of those that are getting the greatest, or has been quoted the greatest, is the Greater Nashua Mental Health, which gets 90% of all of its operating capital from insurance and client fees, grants and contracts, as well as public support. You know, 90% of it also comes from Medicare and Medicaid. I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing. And then private insurers pay 5%. You know, Harbor Homes is also there for, you know, $4,500. They have approximately 40 foundations and trusts that are providing donations to support them. HIV, I can't read my writing. Yeah, AIDS Task Force is actually part of Harbor Homes, so you're giving them two. You know, the only other one is Home Health and Hospice of Merrimack. I believe that was Merrimack, right? Okay, and remember, they also do, you know, insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid for their funding, although they do take indigent cases, and they do not look for reimbursement for those cases. So, you know, all of this list are all 501Cs. They can get donations. They have grant writers. That's how they operate. You know, when I look at our citizens and some of the comments that Pat made, you know, regarding that she's saying more people having trouble paying their rent, you know, more people are just having trouble making ends meet, which is one of the reasons why we've been so careful to try to keep the budget flat for the upcoming year. I would like to suggest, I'm not proposing yet, but just let you mull this over, is why don't we take that $76,000 and increase the portion that goes to Pat, so that she has more money to work with, so that she is not giving allotments, and then, you know, going over her budget as well. You could also say, okay, let's support the two charities that are actually based in Merrimack and give them something. I'm just pointing out that we have a lot of families who live on the edge. The mean, you know, salary here in Merrimack, you know, is close to 41,000 per capita, if you're looking at that. Per household, maybe 93,000. We have people who are having trouble paying their bills on a monthly basis, and they do live on the edge. And I just can't justify giving $76,000 to organizations that have professional fundraisers when our own people don't have that opportunity to get more money for their bills as well. So that's my piece. I'm sorry. Thank you. And remember, I was a case manager, so I agonized over this for a long time.
Thanks, Barbara. Eileen?
Okay, some of these programs, in particular the housing, the homeless shelters and that kind of thing, they are, if they didn't exist, we send people to Nashua because we don't have a homeless shelter here. So when if that did not exist, we'd be putting them up in hotels. So, you know, and the same goes for the soup kitchens, and the same goes for transportation, and meals to elderly home, et cetera, like that. I have home and health hospice care. 430 people participated in that this year. St. John Newman, 76 families went to the food pantry. 29 people for Opportunity Works. Lamprey Area Healthcare, 101 people. So all these things our residents are actually using. Bridges, Rape and Assault Services, 721.
Are those all just Merrimack, or is that their
These are
total?
all Merrimack.
So
Yep.
we had 700 cases of rape last year?
Oh, don't go
Yes.
there.
Yeah, don't go there.
Pat, can you come up and help us, please? If that's okay with you.
Are you kidding me? No, I appreciate it.
All right. There's services for bridges. They do absolutely. They shelter and they also counsel for rape incidences, but they also do education. So when you're looking at some of the numbers, you have to remember some of it is including those 3 types of levels of services. So it's not always just the one, like in the case of Bridges, rape.
Mhm. And I know that.
That's,
Okay.
But when I looked at these charities, and for those that do
think
list
so, yeah.
who their major donations are coming from, it was the town of Amherst, the town of Hollis, I can't remember, and Merrimack. So I can appreciate that we have people who are going there and are being taken care of, but how many of those people, if we had been able to give them a stipend or a grant to go out and get groceries, how many would have been able to avoid going to the soup kitchen? Just a thought.
Would you mind if I commented on some of the things? Okay.
for it.
I have to tell you that originally this part of the budget, and you're absolutely correct, is not a mandatory requirement under RSA 165. In fact, when I first came here in 1995, it was included under community development's budget. So basically, the agencies that there were like maybe 5 agencies as requested budgets over the years, like for example, home health and hospice, and Paul can remember this. It was like we used to give them about $65,000, in assistance. So over the years, this is, I've adjusted things according to what I think services are balanced. Some agencies come in, and so I'm not able to give a whole lot in the beginning. So some seem less because they haven't been in this requesting as long. But the thing is, all these services that the reason they came into welfare was because I refer to them. Our residents use them. And the idea is that we are providing the donation to these services so they will exist for our residents. And for example, and I think Eileen made a perfect example of the shelters. It is very important that I have shelters to refer to because we don't have any shelters in Merrimack. Merrimack itself usually refers to Nashua. We have like a catchment area, so all our services usually go to the Nashua area. So all these services that you're seeing are mostly from Nashua because that's where the catchment area is from. But the thing is, we do, in our welfare guidelines, it's very specific what I can assist with. And in some cases, I cannot assist with some of these services that are provided in other agencies, like home health and hospice. We don't pay to have a nurse go out and do care for an indigent person who needs that kind of care. It's not part of the in our guidelines to be able to do that. I can't, let's say, for example, I can't pay for someone to have Big Brother's assistance. That's not part of the welfare guidelines. So there are things here that is not, so if you just gave all that money to welfare, I couldn't expend it because of the fact that when I do welfare, I use the guidelines that are given to me and I spend according to what people are eligible for and what services are allowed under the budget. And so therefore, I think it would be better served to have it funded through here on things that I can't always assist with, but I can refer for things that I normally wouldn't be paying for. So, and as you're correct, it is not required. So this is basically donations that we are providing in order to make sure the services are available for our residents.
thank you, Pat. Nancy?
I guess this is a philosophical discussion to a certain extent. I honestly feel we're a very lucky community in many ways. That doesn't mean that there aren't residents who need assistance, who have financial difficulty and all that. But we're also very fortunate. So I think part of, and I've always believed, in the various presentations that Pat has done in the past, is that this is I always consider it a donation to those services that provide services to our community, our town, that we don't directly pay for. Some of it may be paid through Medicaid, some of it may be paid through insurances. A lot of times they're not. It's not covered by insurance. So it's more a gesture, philosophically, on my part, to be able to say thank you to those services that provide services to our town. You know, and I think we're fortunate to be able to do it. If we were somewhere down the road, we might not be able to, but I think we can, for the amount of money we're talking about. So.
And if I could just add one other thing, I think the other thing is when you look at the proposals, one of the things I do request is what are they going to do with the money? Why do they need the money? Because, all right, it might be a nice philosophical gesture, but I do look to make sure that they are like running a deficit in something, like, you know, as indicated, Medicaid and Medicare don't pay the full amount for a service. So therefore, there are deficits. Some people don't have the ability to have Medicaid or Medicare, depending on the situation. So that the idea is these services are not turning people away. And that's when I look at the proposals, I'm looking to see, are they incurring extra costs because they're not getting it covered under the multitude of funding and fundraising that they're trying to do. And that's really, you know, something that I do look for. So it is not something that I feel like we're just giving money away to them.
Okay. All right, is there anything further with the welfare budget? Seeing none, what's the bottom line number hasn't changed, 160732?
Yep.
Right, thank you, Pat, I appreciate that. Next, number 27, debt service. Actually, you want to do that now, or should we we'll go to wastewater. Number 10.
We could do it now. I mean, it's
So,
by
Okay.
definition, it's not going to change.
so stay with that, just keep going? Would you?
Yeah, unless you got, it's
Is there anything
There
somebody
isn't-
wants to change in debt service?
debt service, it's what our bonds are.
Right,
It is what it is.
all right,
Okay, so
very good.
moving right along.
So, on to wastewater?
Yes, sir.
So. Bottom number? Or did you have something?
No.
No. The number is 477-367?
4477367.
Yes, I did have something.
Yes,
Paul,
Barbara.
was there an error on 8311? Because for the tally of the line items, it was 99,250, but what's carried over was 109,424?
Yeah, those,
Was that was
the numbers on
intentional?
the left we have to change.
Oh, okay.
There was a note, that's what the department requested, they just didn't change
Oh,
the
okay.
numbers on the left, we have to change those.
Mhm. So we're all set? Number 32, media. Anything further with media?
So I know we take 200, we took 250 out of media, out of the revenues last year, to offset taxes. And right now, she has in the budget 200. So I would suggest, sorry, Nick, taking another 50 to just go back to the 250 that we did last year as well. So instead of being 200,000, be 250,000 again this year to offset some of Bill's paving.
Bill's paving. Is that in the
See Kyle
media?
laughing back there.
That's not in this media budget line, though, right? That's a revenue. Okay. Well, but we're not there. Whatever.
All right,
Just keep it in mind.
so we're all set with media?
Think so. What's what?
342.
Okay, he does that, okay.
Okay, number 33, fire protection. Nothing there. Numbers 88, 384.
Yep.
Capital Projects Fund.
Hmm?
You don't have that in yours?
No, it gets a
That's
little
nothing, that's
squirrely
old,
here.
that's old.
10,026.
Yeah, that was, I don't know what
No,
that one
that's-
was. Well, Department 20, what is that?
Those are the outside details. Department 20 is the outside details for police and fire. So fire's outside detail was 10,026. Police outside detail is 419,699.
Okay. And those are offset by revenues, so there's nothing.
100% offset by revenues.
All right. For a grand total of 429,725. And I
For
have
where
next-
were you just now?
What wasn't it? Let me see. Is it 429,725?
Did you go to day camp or?
No, I was just those details, the outside.
Oh, you added them together, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have two different sheets.
That's goofing up here. Oh, sorry about that. You guys should come out of the dark ages, by the way.
We should?
That was a good one, Phil.
There you go.
That's, give me
All
my
right, so-
flip phone back.
So,
Yeah, let me see your phone. Take that out.
Oh, it's-
Let's talk.
Oh, yeah, raise it up so we can all see it.
it's a long story. Anyhow, so I have next on mine, anyhow, is revolving fund. Is that correct? Is that where everybody is?
No, we're on day camp.
Okay.
Well, Parks and Rec revolving fund, yeah. So that ended up at 27309.
Yep. Okay. So, want to do
Revenues.
Okay, Paul, which sheet would I be on? I have revenue 2 and revenue.
154.
Yours would be revenue 1, just the one that says revenues.
Okay, all right. Yeah, now what,
That's Tom's motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Right.
back to my motion if you guys didn't forget.
Yep.
So that would be under 3189. Make that 250 from 200.
I gotta find it, these are, oh,
It's the first one, it's 010171203189. Transfer fund of cable fund. That would be
Okay.
going $50,000. Add $50,000 to that line item.
and what is in that?
It's
200 right now.
That's from the capital, that's
Right,
from
no,
the
no, no,
media.
what's,
It's from the media right now.
right, and what's in that fund right now?
Oh,
Something.
It started out with 800,000,
Yeah.
and then we subtracted out 250 for this year, and then we're gonna add back whatever was spent, was the net income this year,
Oh.
which is gonna be negative. So we'll end up at about maybe 650
Okay,
at the end of this fiscal year, and then you start all over again.
yep,
So 650, then minus 250 plus whatever. So you're buying down the fund balance.
right. No, I have your sheet that made it easier, as I remember the explanation. Okay, so was that a motion, Tom?
Yes. So I'm gonna-
Seconded.
Motion by Tom Thornton, seconded by Bill Boyd to take from the cable fund an additional $50,000. Any further discussion on your motion, Tom?
Nope, thank you.
See no further discussion, I'll call a question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Abstain. It's 5-1-0 with Tom Koenig voting in the negative. All right, anything further on the revenue sheet here? Eileen?
Use of fund balance is also a revenue, so you could increase the use of fund balance, which you, for all intents and purposes, have done already in your, collective thing from the sheet. But if you want to just say it again, you can. So instead of $450,000, you're taking 566, 588. Approximately. Anyway, you don't have to. You've already
Well, that's a
done
good
it.
idea. The question, I guess, might be if we wanted to increase that even a little bit more to try and offset some of the paving numbers that people were disturbed by. How
Tom, I'll
much?
support you on it.
Pardon?
I'll support you on it.
I'm not arguing with you. I appreciate that. We originally were talking about taking 450 out of the fund balance. That was going to bring us down to what kind of number? Do we know? I mean, do we want to talk about 50 or another 100 or the impacts thereof?
I don't have the number off the top of my head. It's still, we're still doing well. I think we're still in the 8%
Right, yeah.
range.
Yeah.
If we have a pending legal thing, and if the legal thing pans out, then there'll be more money. No, but just because we have money
Okay.
set aside for it.
Oh, right.
So, it might be a good idea to visit that later, and it could be more of a sizable amount.
So you're suggesting on the 14th of February or whenever it was that we were going to be meeting for the final budget?
Yeah,
Would
I
be a
don't,
good time to review that, or?
well, you wouldn't do your final review of revenues on that date.
Okay.
That doesn't happen until sometime in September, when the tax rate's set. So, to finalize your revenue numbers. But, so I can't imagine that we'd have an answer on that then. So, Paul says to me that, is this June 30, 2018? June 30, 2018, we had $7.5 million in fund balance, which represents 8%.
So that's, I'm comfortable with it,
We're
You're
taking
fine.
some more.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is how much? Do we take the 100,000 in addition? I mean, we had thought we would pay it down a little bit. We were trying to spread it over several years so we don't suddenly run out of funding that we can fund from the general fund and then get a big tax increase.
right.
So if we pull it down a little bit more this year, that means that we're anticipating having to pull it down that much or more next year. So it's always a slippery slope to go down, and I'm nervous about that. But there's been a lot of expression that we wanted to try and recoup some of those expenses that we voted in, and so that's one way to do it. I'm just looking for the head nods of the council to see if we want to go further at this point. Sounds like we do. So I move we increase the transfer from the general fund from 450 to 550,000.
I'll second.
Seconded.
Motion by Tom Koenig, seconded by Bill Boyd. All right. Tom, would you like to speak further to that?
No,
motion?
I think I said more than
All
I
right.
should at the moment.
No, very good. I'm willing to support it, but I do fear the time when all of a sudden we're having to hit the brakes because at least for me, I've made it a, kind of a personal commitment to really deal with the paving in our town. I think it's an infrastructure need that is so important for the future, for budgets of the future. And so, so that we've raised that up, we're gonna be, in theory, funding it at that level is what I envision. I don't know, if I'll be at the next budget, who knows? But I guess the next one I might be, but but this, when that stops and we have to now start making up that loss of revenue piece, that can get a little scary. Because then it's real cutting you have to do in order to maintain what we've tried to do all along. But anyhow,
Well, we can.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any further discussion on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. 600.
I don't feel any guilt at all on the paving.
For another 2 years.
For another 2 years. In the meantime, I mean, you're right, in the future, we may have to cut back. But in the meantime,
Do it while we get it.
well, we can.
Yeah, because it's a substantial chunk of revenues we're using from the unreserved fund surplus. And making that up that's.
Yeah, on the other hand, we have a fair amount of money in that fund, and we always said we didn't feel we needed to keep
Yep,
that kind of
and I
money.
agree,
So
'cause it's-
we're trying to balance the tax rate by
Yeah.
doing it gradually, even it out.
Yep.
Because that's important too. A lot of people get yanked around with taxes and their PMI payments on their mortgage and stuff like that, and it just, as much as I hate to take people's money if we don't need it, there are certain things that we should have in our fund balance, and I think we're healthy.
I agree.
We're asking people to sign up for some more debt.
I agree.
We've got a lot of things on our plate in the future, and we just need to be prepared for it.
Very good. Eileen?
For what it's worth, I'm comfortable with 550 this year.
Thank you.
That's worth a lot, thank you.
All right.
So as it stands now,
You want a break? Have a 5 council
5
minute
council minute break.
break or recess.
3.5 hour.
If you guys want to leave, you can leave.
All right, coming back to order here. Eileen and Paul just had to put the numbers together for us.
We're missing one.
Um,
Doesn't have any number on it. Is that number on top mean?
32.
Okay. All right, very good. So, our grand total for the operating budget at this point, is $32,780,643. And if anybody would like to, Nancy?
I move the top town operating budget in the amount of $32,780,643. Thursday, February 14th, public hearing.
Second.
Motion to move, the town operating budget to a public hearing on February 14th. Motion by Nancy, seconded by Tom Thornton. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. 600.
I move, I move $13,100,000 for the wastewater treatment bond Phase 3 upgrade to Thursday, February 14th, public hearing.
Seconded.
Motion by Nancy, seconded by Bill Boyd. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
I'll move the
600.
last one then, too. I move $1,650,000 for capital reserve fund deposits to Thursday, February 14th, public hearing. Do I need to list the following? Oh, I wouldn't have done it if it was. No wonder no one else volunteered. The deposits are as follows: ambulance, $80,000; communication equipment, $125,000; computer equipment, $35,000; Daniel Webster Highway, $50,000; fire equipment, $250,000; highway equipment, $400,000; library maintenance, building maintenance fund, $75,000; property reevaluation, $15,000; solid waste disposal, $125,000; traffic signal preemption, $5,000; property insurance deductible trust fund, $10,000; GIS, $20,000; road infrastructure, CRF, $450,000; total capital reserve fund, CRF, $1,640,000; milfoil expendable trust fund, $10,000, for a total general fund deposit of $1,650,000.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Harrington, seconded by Tom Thornton. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained? 600.
Mr. Chairman, I move $350,000 for wastewater infrastructure capital reserve fund deposit to Thursday, February 14th, public hearing.
Motion by
Second.
Councilor Boyd, seconded by Barbara. Any further discussion on the motion, William?
Rest of Saloka to Mr. Chairman.
Seeing none, I'll call, any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. 600.
Mr. Chairman, I move a withdrawal from the Fire Capital Reserve Fund in the amount of $47,000 to Thursday, February 14th, public hearing for fire apparatus computer replacement, $15,000, fire suppression hose, $17,000, and large diameter supply hose for $15,000.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Boyd, seconded by Tom Thornton. Any further discussion? Now I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
And furthermore, I move
600.
Furthermore, I move that we add the town council as agents to expend for the Fire Equipment Capital Reserve Fund to Thursday, February 14th, public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Boyd, seconded by Barbara. Any further discussion? And seeing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. 600. Thank you, William.
So these are all of you.
Thanks, everybody.
Estimated tax rate?
Here we go.
Estimated tax rate is?
$5.05, which is a decrease from last year of
5 cents.
Is that number not including any of our union contracts?
not including any of the union contracts. That's everything we talked about tonight.
Very good.
Right.
Very good.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
Is it, Is there anything further, Eileen, or everybody's good? I have a motion by Council Boyd, seconded by,
It's
The other way
a
around.
motion by Council Thornton, seconded by me, Mr. Chairman.
but Paul did have something to say.
Just know that this next budget hearings for the 30th and 31st, we do not need, so we will not have them. So there will not be budget hearings on the 30th, 31st.
We've been,
But stay tuned, because there might be a special meeting.
we've
Okay,
been,
very good.
Special
I
meeting.
also want to,
we've been,
Notification of union contract.
yeah. Real quickly also, we all, I'm sure, want to thank the department managers, Paul and Eileen, because you actually make our job a little bit easier for sure.
A lot bit easier.
A lot easier. So we appreciate everything and everybody. I felt badly that they had to be here with their feet not touching the floor. So if you could pass
They
that,
got out pretty well.
if you could, they did. But if you could thank them for us, we would appreciate that. So,
Good job.
so nothing further. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. 600. Thank you very much, everybody.